Time now to spotlight Apple as Elon Musk threatens an antitrust lawsuit over its App Store. Joining us now is Angelo Zino, senior equity analyst at CFRA Research. Angelo, thank you so much for joining us today. So shares of Apple shaking this off right now, but Elon Musk accusing Apple of some antitrust violations and how it ranks OpenAI's ChatGPT versus xAI's Grok. What's your take overall on this lawsuit? How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Diane, and thanks for having me. I think it's a lot about nothing, right? I wouldn't put too much into this if you're an investor. I don't think it has any impact whatsoever on our outlook on Apple. It doesn't have any impact in terms of the fundamentals, business prospects of this company looking ahead. I would think this is more headline risk than anything else. And listen, Apple's always going to have to deal with legal issues, and that's something that they're going to have to deal with in this case. But you kind of look at the actual situation here. I kind of see where Musk is coming from in some respect. I mean, he basically claims that, hey, listen, Grok is this great platform. It's in the top 5 on the App Store. Yet, when you think about some of the Apple human curated stuff out there, like the must-have sections and even their top editor picks and what have you, you can't find Grok on those lists, right? And that's somewhat a little bit problematic to some extent. But ultimately, there's other platforms and apps out there, whether it be something like a Threads, which is actually number 4 in the App Store, that's also not on the list, and other AI type of enabled apps. So I think, in my view, I think it's a lot to do about nothing. But from Musk's perspective, maybe the fact that you don't see Grok there, as well as other kind of open AI competitors on the list, like a Gemini and what have you, does kind of raise a little bit of an eyebrow.
So more noise, essentially, right? And, you think about, so in terms of the market reaction, investors shaking this off as well, seeing this probably to your point of view as simply just noise around Apple. One of the questions, though, for Apple has been about its AI strategy. You have previously noted that Apple's partnership with OpenAI is a major upgrade. You've said that the company's AI plan will be figured out in time. So how do you view Musk's criticism in terms of Apple's just broader AI strategy? I mean, could it just be, room at the table for everybody as it relates to Apple and it's, leaning more into AI?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think as Musk specifically, I think his bigger concern might be OpenAI potentially being fully integrated across the Apple's operating system. And my view eventually is Apple's going to get, they're going to get the AI story figured out. They're going to throw all the dollars they possibly can into it. Whether or not they do it internally, which I think is probably unlikely at this point in time, just given, the type of people that they've lost and given the fact that they've just been behind the curve here for so long. They'll either have to do it via an M&A or through some sort of partnership. And again, the most likely scenario, I think, is still via the partnership route. And again, it could be via OpenAI. It could be a Perplexity. It could be, an Anthropic or what have you. So, and it could be a number of factors. But, I think ultimately they take that path. And maybe, Musk is a little bit worried about that because as, if you potentially get OpenAI into more hands of the consumer, and that's what's going to happen, whoever gets this partnership, if it ends up being a partnership, that gives a lot more power to that company because they're going to have access to just a lot more of the consumer, out there. So we'll see how this all plays out. But I think maybe that's the bigger concern out there for Musk is, how big does that partnership get? And then, how far behind how far ahead does potentially an OpenAI or someone else get, relative to, Musk's, xAI platform.
And how crucial is that partnership for Apple for future revenue streams, especially as it relates to even the calls that are increasing for Apple to say buy Perplexity?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, and we've got a number, you kind of look at how the stock has been reacting here over the last couple of days and weeks, and it's definitely kind of been on this upswing. And a big reason for it is obviously what we saw last week with the administration. I think that de-risks a lot of the concerns out there in the market. The other big thing that we're waiting on this month is kind of that Google search monopoly outcome. And I think that's going to have there's a lot at stake with that. Not only that $20 billion revenue stream, but also, potentially who and how they can charge different vendors on the platform. And our view is ultimately, Apple's going to be able to open up that platform to a lot more potential vendors, whether it be via search options or other AI type of revenue that potentially they can sync up with other users of AI. But I think at this point in time, it's more of a wait and see. But it's important, I think, as far as kind of the monetization story for Apple here over the next 3 to 5 years, as far as AI and selling that AI story to investors out there. It's about being able to monetize AI through faster upgrades on their platform, via the hardware devices in future cycles like the iPhone 18 and 19 there, after the iPhone 17. And the other thing, of course, is going to be being able to find a way to monetize it on the services side of things via charging other vendors, and even potentially coming out with service type of AI plans.
Okay, well, shares of Apple, as mentioned earlier, shaking off any worries about the potential threat from this threat of a lawsuit from Elon Musk. Thank you, Angelo, for joining us today. We appreciate it.